welcome to Talking Sense. I'm Alasdair from Breaking the Mould, Accounting. And this week, I'm very lucky to have on my show Alex.Keselman, who works with ApprovalMax, which is an app that plugs into QuickBooks and Xero and probably some other softwares as well. Welcome, Alex.
That's true. Thank you for inviting me.
Great. I mean, I've been a user of ApprovalMax in my business for probably over a year now, and I found it very effective with yachting clients, where different parties who want to see the financial will have to approve financial information are located remotely from the yacht, and it's just a really nice way of controlling the approval of purchase orders and the approval of expenses, and doing that without giving everybody access to your main financial system as well. But it'd be good, Alex, if you could perhaps talk through where ApprovalMax started and the applications of it now.
Sure. Well, that's a great question. We actually been founded about 6 years ago in 2016, because what we've seen that companies out there, though they might be very, very different companies, it might be yachts, it might be some wine mills, or just a construction industry, whatever. All of these industries, though they're quite different businesses, but they all have the same challenges. Because when it comes for approving the documents, approving bills, approving purchase orders, really vast majority of these organizations are still using some outdated, redundant ways of approving these documents. They would either print them out and trying to find the person within the team who would approve it, and they will put a physical stamp on it, and it's simply not sustainable enough to bring all of these paper and archive it, store it somewhere. It takes so many outright costs. And at the same time, some other part of these organizations, they've switched to the email-based approval system, which might be fine if you're maybe just one or two people in the company approving things. But once you're getting larger and larger, and once you have remote locations, remote offices, and people working in different parts of the world, it becomes really a game of cat and mouse, where you will need to send all of these multiple notifications and keep track on whatever is going on, whatever being approved versus not. And that's what we've put in the design of the ApprovalMax. We wanted to make sure that the process is unified across the board, and that everyone who is making their decision, making that in the easiest way possible. So they can just download our mobile app, see what is awaiting their approval, which will include all the relevant data, all the line items, all the attachments, bill to PO matching, budgets, so on, all of that within just one place. And since that time, for 6 years already, we've been growing quite fast, and we've been Xero App Partner of the Year several times, have more than 250 plus 5-star rating reviews. So it's working quite well, and we can see that from the many case studies and many businesses using ApprovalMax.
Yeah, and of course, it gives you a full audit trail of that approval process as well.
Absolutely. That's actually one of the biggest benefits of using ApprovalMax, because of course you can just simply give access to all of your users to your accounting software, which is probably not the greatest idea at all, because they will be exposed to all of the financial statements, all the financial data. It is much safer to keep non-accountant people, non-financial people away from your accounting software. That's what ApprovalMax allows you to do. You can just simply add all of your users, give them specific permissions on what type of things they're allowed to see, what they're allowed to approve. And from your side, you will have a clear visibility who made what, when, and why they've made that. So you'll have the audit reports attached to each and every request, which will be sent over to your accounting software, so you can clearly see who made an approvals and when they've made that. You have your audit trail within ApprovalMax itself. So if there was any changes made, or if there was any comments, you will clearly see what's actually happened to each and every request. And you can come back to those audit trails maybe after a year, in case you'll need to understand some additional information. So you'll have the history of each and every request stored there forever.
There's a really useful comments section in, so you can actually communicate with people in the approval process within the system, rather than having to go outside.
Correct. And moreover, if we're talking about the yacht business, let's say if we have several different yachts and we're managing all of them, and you have maybe one company who is managing all of these yachts, of course, you can just simply go into your Xero account and try to find whatever is awaiting approval. It will take a lot of time. It is just easier if you can manage that from one place with one login, so you'll straight away see what is awaiting your approval. what was an expenditure. You can give access to external auditors, so they will see what is an expenditure per each yacht, and they have a clear visibility just within one place. They don't need to sort of combine all of these different reports and see what's going on. They can have access to all of that within just one place.
Yeah, that's so the audit. I've used the audit function a little bit, so that allows the auditor can actually look at all those expenses from within ApprovalMax without necessarily needing to go into zero. Is that?
That is correct. You can actually build up a report based on the different criteria. So you can give access to some of your external auditors just to see what was an expenditure, like an overall one. You can share some reports and schedule reports maybe with some of the team members, some of the crew members, that they will see what was their expenditure. So we can really specify what type of things each person, depending on their role in the business, what type of things they allow to see. And that gives a lot of power to you to manage what was an expenditure, how to forecast our expenditure for the future. All of that is available for you.
ApprovalMax comes with two-factor authentication, which you can enforce on users. So it gives you that extra level of security of that multi-factor authentication.
We actually take a lot for the security. That's one of the biggest things here in ApprovalMax internally, because we want to make sure, since we are working with the financial data of our customers, we want to make sure that everything is secured, everything is backed up. So it's continuous backup. We always store all of the data. Each and every minute is being backed up. Full information is being backed up. So you have, even if something will happen with these servers, you would never lose your data. And at the same time, you have two-factor authentication. You have your mobile app, so you can set up the PIN code and all of those additional security measurements.
So if you have a yacht manager who is managing multiple yachts, you can have those clients set up within the one app.
Even better, because what we see, especially in the yacht business, when you sometimes don't have access to your laptop and you still need to do your work, you have access to your mobile app where you'll find all the same information, all the requires your decision things on the palm of your hand. So even if you're in the sea, in the open sea, if you have, I don't know, satellite internet or something like that, you still can do your work just by opening the app and clicking approve, whatever needed to be approved, or sending a purchase order in case you need something.
Being able to actually set up that purchase order on ApprovalMax and send it into your accounting software is really useful, because it sets up you can capture all the details, you can add the PDF in the app, you can actually set up the contact, which is then transferred across to Xero.
And in addition to that, it's easier then to track your expenditure, because if you've raised the purchase order and later on you received an invoice from your supplier, you'll be able to match as many of these invoices against the original purchase order as needed. So you will have a clear understanding which items you've already received, how much money you've already spent, how much balance you have left on your purchase order. All of these details is available for you on the palm of your hand.
Yeah. So tell me then, what would be the normal process when someone wants to use ApprovalMax and set up?
It's actually a very simple software to use. So once you'll start your free trial, there is a 14 days free trial. You will straight away have access to all of the features of ApprovalMax. Again, once you'll start that, you'll have a chat box on the bottom where you can ask our support team in case you'll need some additional technical support. We have our YouTube channel with clear videos on how to set up the workflows. We're typically, each week we're doing these weekly webinars. It's just a 30 minutes long introduction webinar of how to start using ApprovalMax. And at the same time, we can send you like a template. We have a setup and training package, which will allow you to delegate this work of creating the workflow to our customer success managers, so they can help you with onboarding, with the training sessions, and so on and so on. So we're trying to add as much effort and as many resources to make sure that all of our customers who's never seen ApprovalMax before will be comfortable with setting this up and start working that from the day one. It's super easy. When you'll just start creating these workflows, you'll see that it's very visual. You can just simply click on the plus sign. It will create an approval step for you, add as many people as you want, provide the rules. It's very, very simple to use. Just
taking time, I think, for any business to think about what they want to approve, and it's very flexible, the product, in terms of what you can select in terms of both on size of purchase or the account number or the supplier. You can be very flexible in your approval process and your workflows.
That's correct. And it's actually, that's the main challenge for most of the businesses, is to first think about the organizational structure they have. So once you have in your head an idea of the way it should be structured, replicating that into the system, it takes literally 5 minutes. That is such a common question from our customers who is coming to us and they want to start building the workflows. Hey guys, how much does it take to build up the workflow? It takes how many days or maybe weeks? And the common answer would be, it actually takes maybe half an hour or an hour. Once you have an idea the way it should be structured, it will take not more than an hour to build a workflow.
Yeah, I think it's definitely that, spending that time thinking about that and maybe talking to your accountant. I know you've got a partner program for accountants who work with their clients and setting up the business. So, I'm a partner, so I'd recommend if that's a support area for clients who want to use the product.
That is correct.
Yeah.
This partner program, actually, one of the benefits for the customer to go through the partner and start working with ApprovalMax through the partner, because we put a lot of effort on giving knowledge to our partners. We have partner certification training, so we want to make sure that all of our partners are experts in the ApprovalMax. Therefore, you can simply delegate all of these work to your account manager, to your partner, so they will build the workflow for you, and then they will manage the whole thing. So from the customer side, the only thing would be just to log into their account, see whatever awaiting their approval, click on approve. That's it. 5 minutes per day.
Yeah, and that data is all very. We talked about security a bit, but I think this is something that's come through for me when you're talking to your support people, they actually can't see within the customer's data unless the customer sends them the exact link. So I know when I've had some questions around that, I think it's important because yachting tends to be very data sensitive, and people want to know particularly things in the account how secure it is, but it is that secure that actually even your support people can't see a client data.
That's correct. So since we are a UK-based company and we have our subsidiary in Germany, we have to be GDPR compliant. Therefore, we cannot see the data from our customers, only in case they will give access to some parts of the data. Let's say if they want to troubleshoot some request and they want to see what was an issue, they can send the request and our support team will be able to see the data only for that particular request. They won't be able to see the account itself. It is very, very limited access to our support engineers or any other engineers from the company. We have no access to the client's data. So it's GDPR compliant and also ICO. I cannot remember what was the numbers, but also another certification that we cannot access our client's data.
Yes, it's definitely very robust. And you also have a budget link, so you can actually build the budget within ApprovalMax or within Xero, but either way, import it. I know there were some changes around that, so I'll maybe let you explain.
Correct. Previously, it's just changed about maybe 3-4 months ago. Previously, we had the budget checking feature, but the way it worked those days, we had to create a budget in Xero Budget Manager. Then we will export these budgets, and then we will manually import that into ApprovalMax. Nowadays, it's completely different. Now we can just simply click on one button called Pull from Xero, and automatically it will pull all of your budgets from Xero Budget Manager into ApprovalMax account. And you can decide which budgets you want to be activated, which budget check period you want to see, maybe for the full year, maybe just for 1 month, or maybe for financial quarter. That's something for you to decide. And then your approvers in real time within ApprovalMax, they will be able to see what are the budgets for that particular tracking category, for that particular nominal code, what is the remaining budget, what is the impact of the bill or purchase order they're approving right now. So all of that within ApprovalMax, they don't need to ask a budget holder who holds the budget in Xero what is going on over there. They have this access, they have these data straight away at the first glance.
Yeah, that's a really powerful tool, I think, to just people to know whether they're in budget or whether actually some expenditures coming out of budget. Certainly in the yachting sector, family offices will actually sit down as part of their annual, yachting review and set a budget for each yacht. So it's really important that if you're going to go outside of that, and there's extra capex that needs to be spent on the yacht, or there's a separate project that that's flagged, and if other further approval needs to be sort, then the approvers can see that very clearly when they're being asked to approve a particular transaction that's there, which I think is
correct. Really doing these blind decisions just based on the intuition, probably not the best way to go to, especially when we're talking about such an expensive business as yachts. When you need to keep track on all of the expenditure, you need to know where exactly each pound went to. So then it just makes sense to give your team who will be approving things to have clear access, clear understanding what was their expenditure month by month and overall, if they've overspent somewhere, if they've underspent somewhere. So they will have an understanding the way it should work and how to forecast for the future.
Yeah. And the reporting tools we touched on earlier, but so you can set up automated reports to go to users or potentially people who maybe aren't even involved in the approval process, maybe a finance function, but they get an overview of, and I think they're very customizable, those reports as well in terms of.
Correct. It's actually quite a new feature. Well, the reports was with ApprovalMax for, I think, from the day one, but we are constantly improving this feature. And just recently we've created a new additional, it's a small one, but it's actually a very, very important feature that you can build up whatever reports you want to, very, very customized ones. You can provide whatever filters. Maybe you want to see which bills are pending approval and who are we waiting for, which bills were already approved, and how long the decision took, and if it's being matched with the purchase orders and what is the remaining balance, all of that kind of things. But the best part of it, that even if you have some people outside of ApprovalMax and maybe board members or family members who wants to see what's going on, you can schedule these reports, and maybe once a week or maybe once a month, whatever you want, you can just simply send it. This report will be automatically generated, attached to an email, and sent over to these people who's outside of ApprovalMax environment. That is very easily configurable.
Yeah, that's really useful. But does that go as a spreadsheet or is it a link?
Correct. That will go as a spreadsheet, like a CSV file. So then you can use in your Excel spreadsheet.
So great for finance departments, and also for one of the other things I like in the workflow is actually being able to set SLAs of expected time limit to get approvals done, so you can actually measure that your approvals are being done in a hour or half a day or a day or whatever you set. But
we've noticed that some people that you can set up these reminders and they all being set automatically. So each time you need to approve something, we will send you an email notification. You can set up your daily reminders and so on. But some people are still not doing their work properly. So you can set up the deadline. It's like, hey guys, if you're not approving that within 3 days, then these requests will go on top of the list. You will be sent like additional notification, and then you have a red notification, like a red flag. Hey, please go ahead and approve such bill because you're missing the deadlines. And you can then build up the report that will show you who is not doing their work.
Who is effectively, because it's important if you've got a number of stages in your approval process. If it gets stuck with the first stage or the second stage, nobody past that can see that approval. So
correct. Yeah,
it's important to have that
straight away. See what is your bottlenecks.
Yeah.
And then fix it. And actually with that, for some reason, some people just simply forget about it. Some people are going on vacation and they just leave it as it is, not changing their workflow, not reassigning. So we've created just recently a new feature, especially if you have already an idea when your crew members or when your team members will go on vacation. So you can delegate work from the person who's going on vacation to someone else. And you can predefine these dates year ahead. So maybe if you know that Chris is going on vacation, we can specify that from 15th of September until 20th of September, all of the work that should go to Chris will now go to John, let's say.
Yeah, I've used that a few times where people have gone on vacation and I've had to reassign workflows just to push that through. But it's very useful to be able to do that. And I really like the moving away from email. I mean, I've certainly. I think we've seen more and more in yachting, as in other industries, where email is a potential weakness in terms of particularly being hacked, particularly if you're not in control of all those addresses. If there's people in other domains that are So you're sending outside of your own company domain, which often happens if you've got a yacht and a manager and a family office that could be going externally. If somewhere someone manages to break into that email chain, you increase the risk of invoice fraud or altered documents being placed in those chains of emails. So bringing that in within ApprovalMax really negates a lot of that risk.
Correct. All of these phishing attacks are right now, it's a very, very common thing. It's no big deal to create a lookalike domain, which will be maybe it was sent from the CEO. Hey, please approve and pay the bill for $100,000 for that kind of a thing. And they will add the payment details of their own account, some phishing account, and all of the money will be gone. So it's quite a common thing actually, and we see more and more such cases happening over there in the market. So that's what ApprovalMax will allow you to eliminate, because each and every approver should have access to ApprovalMax, and you simply won't be able to approve things unless you have access to your system. That gives us additional layer of security, knowing that people who is actually added into our ApprovalMax account, they actually have access to that, and they actually made their decision, not someone else.
Yeah, that's again a very powerful security tool. So, Alex, in terms of if people are interested in ApprovalMax, they can talk to a partner, certified partner, or of ApprovalMax who's an accountant, and I'm certainly one of those. So I'm going to put my detail, but also put ApprovalMax's details at the end of the webinar session or podcast. So if people want to get in contact and find out more about the product, they can. Is there anything else that you think we need to add to this in terms of how people get started?
Actually, the only way to get started is to sign up for the trial and give it a try. That's very easy, no obligations, no credit cards required, nothing like that. You can play around with that, you can see the benefit. If you found the benefit, then you can sign up. If not, you can just simply cancel that. It's as easy as that. And yeah, the best way to start is to start. It's like in Nike, just do it. Yeah,
that's always a way to get some action.
Exactly.
And so you integrate with QuickBooks, you integrate with Xero,
and also now with Oracle NetSuite. So we have these three main integrations with the accounting software, but at the same time, we also do have a direct integration with Dext in case you're using Dext and you want to simplify process from digitizing your invoices, then pushing that through to our approval process and then into your accounting software. You can utilize Dext, or actually it will work the same with HubDoc, AutoEntry, or Data Molina. Actually, as a little spoiler just for you for this podcast, now we are in a final stage integrating with Deer Inventory. Next week, we probably will be already starting some private betas with some customers. If you want to give it a try, let us know. We'll be happy to show you the way it will work. And as a second thing, we're also finishing up our batch payment workflow, which will work with connection to AirWallex. So once you've approved your bills, you can create batches out of it and send it through to AirWallex straight away. So then these batches will be paid. So these are two new features, two new integrations that is still right now under testing. They will be available for general public very, very soon.
Yeah, I'll definitely put the details of those in, and AirWallex is one I'm going to be looking at, because being able to approve the invoices is one thing, but actually being able to create, then knowing they're approved and create the batch for the payments out of that that's a big piece of work. And if you can automate a lot of that, it's definitely going to save a lot of clients a lot of time, particularly in fleet management or yacht management, where the payment numbers are fairly high generally. The volume of sort of transactions can be quite high on the expense side.
That is correct, yeah. And keeping track on that, it's a very important thing.
Great. Well, Alex, look, I'll put all our details, and ApprovalMax details will be at the bottom of this podcast. I'd like to thank Alex Keselman of ApprovalMax for coming on board today and talking to us about ApprovalMax and what it can do for your business. Thank you. And
thank you, Alasdair, for inviting me. It was a pleasure talking to you today.
Okay. And for all the users out there, of course, we'll be back next week, Tuesday at 6 p.m. Look forward to seeing you then on Talking Sense.